Doge employee that decided to copy everybody's information, put it on a little flash drive, stick it in his pocket, and go home and see if he can negotiate possibly with his next employer and say, hey, you need to hire me because I've got a lot of information here. So that's what it looks like it's shaping up to be. And they said, oh, no, we don't know if they actually accessed that little hard drive that the person took home. We're looking at it. What's going on with it? Under investigation. So here's what we got. We know that one person in Doge, these guys were never vetted. They were just put in there. The commissioner of Social Security was kind of moved out. They put another temporary commissioner of Social Security in there who was a Doge guy who was giving away information to Doge before the current administration took over. Social Security Administration was saying, hey, you can't do that. They were about to fire the guy. Doge said, fire him. We're going to make him the commissioner of Social Security. So he was the commissioner of Social Security for a while, and brought in a whole bunch of Doge people that didn't know anything about Social Security, including Elon Musk, who didn't know anything about Social Security, and started talking about all this stuff about it's a Ponzi scheme, which it's not, and that there's millions of zombies out there collecting Social Security benefits, which they're not. And he finally admitted that. But there are Doge people in there. Yes, the Doge as an institution, I guess, has been wrapped up, but the people that were in Doge are still in Social Security. And there's one guy that decided to take all this information and see if he could leverage it for his next job or for whatever case. We're not sure. They're still under investigation. But here's what you need to know to protect yourself. What was taken, it looks like, was called the master death file and the numident. And the master death file, that was actually kind of public knowledge. I'm sure a lot of people used to look and, oh, when my great grandfather passed away, you used to be able to find that information online. They have since taken it offline, and so you can't really do that. So at one time, that master death file, it's basically everybody that it's ever gotten a Social Security number that's passed away. It tells you what the person's name and where they passed away and they were born, all that kind of stuff. That's since been taken off. So, but at one time that was up there. The other more concerning file is called the numident, the NUMI. This is the one that Elon Musk couldn't understand. I don't think he still does, but there's many databases in Social Security. When you go get a Social Security number, that is the NUMI, the numident, your number identifier. And what does that include? How do I know? I've looked at it a million times over the decades working at Social Security. It includes the Social Security number or any other Social Security numbers you have. Almost everybody has one Social Security number. It includes your Social Security number, your name, any previous name, marriage name, divorce name, whatever the case may be. It includes your date of birth. It includes your parents' maiden name, your parents' name and your mother's maiden name. That's how when you ever call Social Security, they ask you a bunch of questions. One of those questions, what's your mother's maiden name? That's in there as well. It includes how many cards you got throughout your life, how many cards were issued, when. It includes where you were born. It also includes your citizenship in terms of, are you a lapper, a green card holder, U.S. citizen, whatever the case may be. So that's all that information. It doesn't include like your address necessarily. It doesn't include how much benefits you're receiving from Social Security. That is another completely different record called the MBR, the Master Beneficiary Record. That's the one Elon Musk couldn't wrap his head around. He was looking at the numident, the Social Security numbers, and he was saying, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of, active people, millions of people in this particular database that are over 100, 100, 200 years old. Yeah, that's because Social Security can't close those out because they don't have an official death certificate. So they just kind of left it there. They've always told Congress, hey, one day we need to fix this and clean that up. And Congress always said, no, we don't want you to clean it up because every now and then we beat you up with it with a big stick and say, oh my gosh, Social Security is so incompetent. They've got all these open records. Yeah, Congress, because you won't let us close it out without a birth certificate. So if you say we can close those out without a birth certificate, without documentation, we'd be more than happy to close it out. And Congress says, no, we don't want to do that because we want to complain and talk about how incompetent you are every few years. So that's why they were never closed out. But the issue was over here, that's where the money is. So you've got some person that's 200 years old, supposedly 150 years old, that's open over here. Zero money comes out of that particular database. Zero. One penny has never come out of that database. Over here, the MBR, that's where the money comes. And those, the record has been terminated, it's been closed out, it's a suspense, or whatever the case may be. So those people, supposedly the millions of zombies, never got paid. So that's what Elon Musk couldn't understand, that they're completely different. So it looks as though, as of right now, the MBR, the actual payment record, the master beneficiary record, hopefully wasn't released. But here's what you need to do. Here's some of the things. So this is one of the massive, Social Security has never experienced something like this before. Other, hospitals and credit card companies and department stores and all that, they lose people's Social Security numbers all the time, unfortunately. But Social Security has never had that type of massive database release until our buddies at Doge came in and started doing stuff like this. So here's what you can do to protect yourself. Whatever got out there into the world, all your information, Social Security doesn't deal with credit card companies and somebody bought a boat with your Social Security number and your credit and messed you up and open up a credit card and stuff like that. People used to come to the Social Security Administration all the time and say, hey, somebody's using my Social Security number. And we would say, well, is anybody working under your Social Security number? Oh, I don't know about that, but somebody opened a credit card and so I want to do something about my Social Security. That's because these credit card companies and other places, banks, used your Social Security number. They should have used your Social Security number. They should have come up with their own credit number, whatever, but they decided to use a Social Security number. They should have never messed around with that, but they did. Anyway, but Social Security, the one thing you need to worry about with Social Security is someone working under your Social Security number. That's the issue. That's the only thing Social Security deals with in terms of missing Social Security numbers, your Social Security number was stolen or whatever like that. The only thing that Social Security can help you with is, okay, is that person actually out there using your Social Security number to pay money into your account? That's basically the only thing. If that happens, then Social Security can do something about that. And you can actually do something about that. It's called E-Verify. So anytime, this should be mandated throughout the country. Every state this should be mandatory, but some states, it's not mandatory. Basically, if you're an employer and you want to hire someone, you need to verify that that person is actually in the country legally and able to work. And how do you do that? Through E-Verify. So these companies are actually supposed to go into E-Verify and confirm their employees are actually allowed to work in this country. Some states it's mandated. Other states, not so much. Voluntary. And then companies want to hire people. They say, okay, we've got a person that's in the country legally, hire them. The way the market is, have to pay them $20, $25 an hour. Or this person is in here illegally and will work for half the price. I know they're legal, but I don't have to E-Verify. They give me a Social Security number and I just, okay, yeah, looks right. It's all printed off the sides and stuff like that. They know they got the Social Security number at the local swap meet. But hey, the company says I save a lot of money by hiring this guy over here for half the price. And I don't have to go through E-Verify, so it's not an issue. So if the authorities come knocking on my door, I can just say, oh, I thought it was a valid Social Security number. Come on, it had a rainbow and unicorn on it. Hey, I don't know. So they kind of play dumb in that respect. The system is all messed up. Anyway, so people say, okay, wait a second. Wouldn't that be awesome? If someone paid into my Social Security, someone in the country is working under my Social Security number and paying into my Social Security account, that would be awesome. Yeah, it would be awesome until it's not awesome. And how can you stop that? One of the ways is you go to E-Verify. E-Verify has this self-lock in there where you can go in there and it's got a little video there and it tells you how to set up self-lock. So you can just go in there. This is e dash verify.gov, and you just Google e-verify, and you can go in there and you can self-lock, so nobody else can use your social security number in those states that mandate e-verify. But will your benefits increase if you're receiving social security money and someone works under your social security number? Will your social security benefits increase? Yeah, possibly. If it's one of your high 35 years, let's go through this for those new people out there that are new to my channel. If you're new to my channel, this is also a live Q&A. I've got a bunch of questions about retirement benefits and survivor benefits and Medicare, Medicaid. So we'll get into the live questions here in a bit. If you're watching this in a recording, I just showed the first part of the recording, and I knock out the live Q&A to make a shorter video, but you can make sure you subscribe, and that way you can join my live Q&As in the future. But how they calculate your benefits is on your high 35 years of earnings. They look at your entire work history, how much you pay into Social Security all your life, and they take the high 35 years, and that's what they calculate. But they index those earnings. So if you made $20,000 when you're at 18 years old, number one, that's pretty awesome. Number two, you're like, that's only $20,000. I made $80,000 last year. Now, $20,000 in 1982 is worth, because they index it for like a wage index. $20,000 is 1982 is probably worth a lot more than $80,000. So that's actually one of your high years. So anyway, so they take all those earnings, 35 years of earnings, and then they divide it by the 35 to get your averaged index monthly earnings, how much you made on average throughout your life. And then they multiply it by these, what these called these bin point formulas. It's kind of a progressive system. People that pay less into the system get a higher replacement rate, up to 90%. People that pay more get a smaller replacement rate, 30% or so. So it is a progressive system. It's been progressive since the 1930s, since it began. So if someone works illegally under your social security number and they make one of your high 35 years of earnings, then guess what? Your benefits are going to go up until they don't, until they catch that person, until that employer turns them in or they get kicked out or whatever the case may be. And then they find that that person was using your social security number and you were benefiting by getting more money. And they're going to come looking for you and they say, hey, we paid you $100 more a month because you worked at some chicken processing plant in Topeka, Kansas, and you don't live in Topeka, Kansas. You never worked there. How come you didn't tell us those are not your earnings? So this is another reason to go into your, my social security every now and then and check to make sure your earnings record is correct, to make sure, everything that you did earn, it's reflected in there. And if you didn't, you tell Social Security, hey, I don't know whose those earnings, but I never worked at a chicken restaurant in Topeka, processing plant or whatever. So, but if you don't do that, then later on, there's going to be an overpayment on your record and say, hey, we paid you an extra $100 for the past 2 or 3 or 4 years because we thought those were your earnings. You should have told us, and now we want that money back. So it's important that you check your earnings record. Okay. So we're going to keep an eye on that, as we always do, on what's going on. I don't know. I had in my office, the third largest, the third biggest office in the country is Social Security. And if any of my employees did 0.1% of what these Doge guys did, they would have been fired. As we used to say in the Marine Corps, BCD, bad conduct discharge, big chicken dinner. They would have been kicked out. I've fired many employees for doing a lot less. Employee looking at their ex-spouse to see if they can get any more child support or alimony, fired. Yeah, so you can't do that. Social Security is pretty crazy when it comes to security like that, until they brought Doge in, and then it's like, do whatever you want. So, all right, let's get into some live questions here. Let's see what we got. Patricia, what's up, Patricia? I think you're new here. I don't think we've seen you before. Welcome. I would like to work, but I feel like they will say I can work. Believe me, I am different from day to day, but I also feel like I need to work to survive. Can you enlighten me? What type of benefits are you receiving? Possibly disability benefits. Are you receiving SSI or SSDI? You could be receiving both, but let's say you're just receiving just regular SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. If you're receiving SSI, then the max you can get on SSI is $994. If you're receiving more than that, then you're definitely getting SSDI. Okay. All right, let's go with SSDI. If you're receiving Social Security Disability Insurance, you are 100% eligible to work. You can work 100%. And let me pull up my website here so we can go through it. So you go to mygovexpert.com, and I'm working on this. Big things are coming, something that's never been seen before. But anyway, for right now, this is what we got. Make sure you subscribe, and yeah, this is going to be big. So you go onto my website, mygovexpert.com, click on the little disability thing there, click on working and benefits, and I've got a couple of guides in there and stuff. But the big thing is what's called the trial work period. The trial work period, if you're on Social Security Disability Insurance for 9 months, not necessarily consecutive, you can work a month and then take off 2 months, but 9 total months, you can make as much as you want. $1 billion a month, Social Security doesn't care. They want you to try to go back to work. That's why they call it the trial work period. So for 9 months, you can make as much as you want. After that 9 months, if you continue to make more than what's allowed, and how much is allowed after that is, for this year, it's $1,690. So when does a trial work period start? This is why it's a little bit confusing. A trial work period triggers when you make over $1,210. So what's the difference? If you make under $1,210, you can do that forever, and Social Security doesn't have an issue. If you go over that, over $1,210, then that is one trial month. So if you do that 8 more times, then you have to stay under the $1,690. And if you stay under that amount, you can stay under that amount forever as well. So you have the ability to work a limited amount and still keep your benefits. A lot of people out there just don't know that, and unfortunately, they're making their life very, very difficult. All right, we've got some video questions. Some people sent in some video questions. We got some good follow-ups here, and let's do some a good thing. We've got a final follow-up from the person y'all found that is eligible for disabled widows benefits. They didn't know about it. Now they got it, and they got a check.
Hello, I'm back on again. I got your message on YouTube, responding to my message, my video call stating about me getting a paper check, and I was the exception to the exception. Yes, I did get a paper check, and it was sent on. I got it on Saturday and deposited on Monday. Just want to let you know that I did get a paper check. Thank you. Bye.
All right, community, that was y'all. Y'all did that. I made a video, and in one of the parts I mentioned disabled widows benefits, and she said, wow, I can get that. And she went and got a bunch of back pay. And the strange thing is they sent her out a paper check, even though she had Direct Express. It's strange they sent a paper check, but hey, it's a beautiful thing. And congratulations to y'all. Someone out there who liked or commented or subscribed or wrote a comment in there, however these stupid algorithms work, you are responsible. When you push that button, it taught these computer whatever to send it out to her, and she looked at it and says, who is this idiot? And she listened to me for more than 5 minutes, and then she was able to find some money. So that was y'all. Congratulations.
Yes, Dr. Ed. And she was a Title II specialist, but not a Title II T2 expert. She was Title II regarding the VDRCs, but I think she gave me the incorrect information. And that's why she called back twice, and she still was unclear. So just to let you know, thank you for what you do, because you're the man who knows what's going on. Some people or new people or whatever do not know what the heck is going on.
Yeah, so he left a prior video on, but he recorded the Social Security employee telling him incorrect information, and I don't want to play her voice. But here's what we got. He made a video, sent me a video about VDRCs, voluntary delayed retirement credits. And let me pull up the policy here. And this is a Social Security policy, what it is. So he's been receiving retirement benefits, early retirement benefits, and he watched one of our videos and said, wow, voluntary delayed retirement credits, that's for me. What it is once you hit your full retirement age, you can suspend your benefits voluntarily and say, I don't send me any more checks because I want to get that delayed retirement credits, 8% every year added on to my Social Security check. So if you are getting benefits and you voluntarily suspend them at 67, your full retirement age, and then wait till 70 to restart them again, you get 3 years, 8% per year, 24%. So that's what he was looking for. So he called up the local Social Security office and says, I want that. And the person on the phone, even after 3 calls, didn't search. So this is the reference here. I'll throw it up there. It is, let me move it on here so y'all can see it. GN 02409.110, conditions for voluntary suspension. So here it is, voluntary delayed retirement credits. You can do that 100%. It's just that there's a couple of reasons why Social Security employees don't know about it. One is because the public doesn't know about it. There's so many things the public doesn't know about that they can do, which they don't know about. So that's why nobody asks about it. And Social Security employees can spend 10, 20 years working at Social Security and never have one of these cases because people just don't know about it. So when you've got the Social Security employees have another 19,999 pages to deal with, and this is one page that they just never have to deal with because nobody ever asks about it. And number two, even if a lot of people knew about it, there's not a lot of people that, oh, I don't want to stop my checks. I want to continue to get my checks. I need my money. But there's very, very small percentage of people that it does benefit. And this gentleman is one of those. So, yeah, the Social Security employee was telling him the 100% incorrect thing, talking about, oh yeah, you can suspend your benefit or you can withdraw your claim like it never happened and yada, yada, yada. And she obviously didn't know what she was talking about. So take this Palms reference there, GN 02409.110, and take it down to the local Social Security office and say, well, here it is right there. And then you can go ahead and get it done. So yeah, we've had that happen a few times where people said, well, Dr. Ed on YouTube said I could do this, that, and the other. And then people go down to the local Social Security office and, say that. And the Social Security employee says, no, that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then they come back the next day and say, you're an idiot and you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, hi, honey. I'm usually my wife that does that. But anyway, and then I said, okay, here's the reference. And I send them the reference and they go back the next day and yeah. And they show the employee the actual policy reference and at SSA.gov, and the person disappears in the back for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then they come back to the window with a sheepish look on their face and say, "Wow, I didn't know that. Wow, that's learn something new every day. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and get this done." So. And it's going to get more like that, a lot more like that, because the Social Security employees are so inundated. It's all right. We've got some more video questions.
Hello, my name is Janetta, and I'm from Arkansas. I'm trying to help my husband apply for Social Security disability benefits. He has not worked since September of 2020 due to health reasons. He did have a lot of trouble with his back and still does. We filed a short-term disability claim back then, and we thought he was going to be able to go back to work, but he has not been able to. And over the last 5 years, we have also been working on his VA disability, which he just recently received 100% permanent and total with that. And it's dated all the way back to July of 2023. When we look at his Social Security statement right now, it says that he is not eligible for Social Security disability benefits because he doesn't have enough credits. But his credits, he does have enough credits if you look through the end of 2025. He just has not worked from 2020 up until now. if we can show that he has been disabled or has all of this information that we give to Social Security, would he still be eligible to apply? And do we need to talk to somebody about this in person, or can we apply online? Been watching your videos and I haven't seen the answer to this question, but I really appreciate all the information that you put out there. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. And she sent that question a couple of days ago, and I'm a little bit late responding to it. I apologize. So if you make a video recording like that, you can go onto my website and record it. When I almost always answer it the next day, unless I have a guest or something. All right. So this is a DLI issue. So your husband is 100% insured for disability benefits, insured for retirement benefits, disability benefits, everything. So that's not an issue. But with disability, you also have to be currently insured. That means you had to work 5 out of the last 10 years before your disability began. So it sounds like he hasn't worked in a while, and therefore they said, you know, you come in and file for disability benefits, and you said, I can't work anymore. And they look and well, you haven't worked for a long time. So that's kind of what the issue is. It's like, you know, getting in a car accident. It's like you go to Geico and they get in a car accident and says, yeah, well, can you fix my car? And they, wow, you were a customer, but you haven't been a customer for the last 4 years. So that's kind of the analogy. By the way, government, I had Geico when it started. This is not a commercial. I'm just kind of throwing this out there. It's called, Geico comes from Government Employees Insurance Company. I had it, I think I started, it started in the military. When I was in the military, Marine Corps in 82, 83, I started, and it was limited to the government employees. But anyway, that's kind of an interesting story about the title of the name. But in terms of DLI, yeah, that sounds like because he is not insured. If his date last insured, so they do this calculation to determine if he worked 5 out of the last 10 years, and then they come up with this DLI, this date last insured, and they say, okay, the last time you were insured was, let's say, January 1 of 2026. And if you're saying your disability began after January 1, 2026, you're not insured under this currently insured situation. If you're saying your disability began before January 1st, 2026, then you're good. So you just have to, y'all need to prove that his disability began before his date last insured. So I would definitely file the claim. Don't, never delay, always file. Don't sit around and wait. Oh, well, I'll get my medical records. I'll wait till, I've got a doctor's appointment next month. I'll go ahead and wait till after that. And no, if you're unable to work because of a disability, file and worry about all the other stuff later because it takes forever to process it. So get the process started. So file, call them up, get the process started, and then ask them, what's his DLI? And they'll be surprised that you even know what that means. But then you say, okay, he became disabled, unable to work this date. So, and then that has to be before his DLI, and you have to be able to prove that it did, in fact, his disability did begin before his DLI. So, all right, let's see here. What is your opinion of the proposed Supplemental Social Security Income Restoration Act? Let's see here. Let me give a flashback to all those people that were born in the 70s. It's just a bill, and I'm not gonna sing the rest of the song. Y'all go for it. To make a video singing the song, and I'll play it in one of my future videos. Yeah, there's a bunch of bills. There's bill to smash the cap so you won't get that cut in the future that everybody's going to get cut, the 23% cut that's everybody's going to get here in 83 more checks. No, I think we're down to 82 more checks until we start getting a cut because the trust fund is running out because these guys refuse to do anything for the past 40 years. Some tried to, but proof is in the pudding. Nothing got done, and therefore this. And every now and then we have another bill that does this, that, and the other, but we're tacking on another year of failure, and this is coming. So what do I think of it? Yeah, there's just so many bills out there. So I'll see. I'll check it out a little bit more, and I'll come up with yeah. Well, if it looks like it's just another bill that someone's just trying to get notoriety and whatever, and pretending like they're protecting for elections. That's what usually happens around elections. Is they want to get the senior vote, so they put in something in Congress, this, that, and the other, and then they go back to their districts and say, yeah, look, I'm trying to protect Social Security, but nothing happens with it. Yeah, I've seen it happen decade after decade. I just turned 66 and I'm on disability. How much can I work before my full retirement age? You're 66, so your full retirement age, probably 66, 8 months, 10 months, 67. Same as everybody else. You are allowed to work. Have you used your trial work period, those 9 months? If you haven't, then pretty much work as much as you want. Because if you're 66 or in however many months, and within 9 months, you'll be your full retirement age. And at that time, you're no longer going to be receiving disability benefits. You're going to be switched to regular retirement benefits. And because you're going to be receiving regular retirement benefits after your full retirement age, you can make as much as you want. So if you're within 9 months of that and you never use those 9 months, you can conceivably work as much as you want. It doesn't matter. So yeah. It really depends on your exact age there. Very positive income SSI recipients. Google the app. Very involved. Oh, Pink Owl. You probably have your thing here about tax assistance, so I'll pop that up when you pop it up. Why don't they do 10 years later another 9-month trial? Things could have gotten better, but you won't know unless you try. Yeah, it's a lifetime trial work period. Yes, but if for some reason, there's also called an EXR, expedited reinstatement. If you're receiving Social Security disability insurance, Social Security disability benefits, and you go back to work and they kick you off of disability because of your work, and then within 5 years, if you can no longer work, and again, they had to kick you off because of work, because you work. But within 5 years, if you can no longer work, you tried, and you were doing okay for a while, then you were not able to do it anymore. Within 5 years, you can file what's called an expedited reinstatement, which the name expedited in there makes no sense because nothing is expedited anymore. But anyway, you can do an expedited reinstatement as long as your disability is the same. You didn't come up with a new disability, but your disability is the same as the original determination. Then you can do an expedited reinstatement where they can restart your benefits once they go through the process. And they can actually start your money. They can say, okay, hey, we're going to file this EXR, this expedited reinstatement. We have to do all the disability type stuff, make sure you're actually still disabled. But because you were disabled at one time with the same issue, we can actually start paying you money. And they can actually start paying you money. But be careful, because if you, within that 5 years, you're no longer able to work, you go back and you want to reinstate your Social Security disability and they start paying you money, if it comes back that they determine you're not disabled, you might have to pay it back. There's a lot of gray area there. But anyway, if we are receiving Social Security checks, how can we protect ourselves from someone using our Social Security number, or what potentially Doge is capable of doing? For Social Security, it's, it depends what state you're on, what state you're in. Do that E-Verify. That might stop someone from out there using your Social Security number to work on your record. But probably the best thing is just to, check on your My Social Security every now and then, go into your My Social Security account and check. If you're receiving Social Security benefits and all of a sudden you get a weird, and if you're not able to check, it's like, well, I tried to get in my Social Security and I can't get in there. And so you can call Social Security and say, hey, how much did I make last year? And if they say, oh, you made $100,000, wow, that chicken processing plant is doing really well. And that's immediately the flag, right? You tell, hey, that ain't mine, delete it. But other than that, yeah, just, if you get all of a sudden an increase in your check because, other than the COLA, because, hey, you worked last year and so we increased your benefit, then contact them. But all the other stuff, all the private, my argument is those exposures of our Social Security information were the result of Doge. Who was the head of Doge? Elon Musk. He He brought those people in. He put them in those. He was ultimately responsible. He's the richest person in the history of the world. So you ought to give everybody, pay for everybody to get new Social Security numbers, a more, safe system, and, maybe differentiate Social Security numbers from credit numbers and bank numbers and all that. So consider doing a video cut special on what to do about the Doge matter. Yeah, that's kind of what today is. Someone was commenting on how long it took to get 2025 income from IRS to SSA. My statement says not recorded. I filed February. Yeah, sometimes it's so what you're talking about is you worked last year, and if it's one of your high 35 years, then they will automatically recalculate your Social Security benefit, and you'll get an increase if it was one of your high 35 years. Sometimes, your employer notifies directly Social Security. Sometimes it has to go with the IRS, particularly if you're self-employed or something. And yeah, sometimes it does take long, but you will get retroactive benefits. And last year, I got a lot of people in my live that said, Ed, I just got a check for $150 from Social Security. What the heck was going on? And usually it was like, hey, did you work last year? Yeah, I worked last year. One of your high 35 possibly? Yeah, that's it right there. They increased your benefit by, 10, 15 bucks a month going forward. And they were supposed to do that going back to January. And so they paid you a back pay of every month, the $10 or $15 every month since January. So even though it takes a while sometimes, you will get it. You'll get it. So I hear some say SSDI is taxed and some say no. If that is my only income, is it taxed? $3,000 a month. Yeah, sometimes it really depends on your particular situation. Let's see here. Pull up my little handy dandy chart. Where is it? There we go. So is Social Security taxed? If you're just receiving about $3,000 a month from Social Security, and that's the only thing you're receiving, so we're looking at $36,000 a year. And if you're single, you're like, yep, up to 85% of your benefits are taxed. But no, because they only count half of that. So it's called your adjusted gross income, your combined income. So they take your AGI, your plus non-taxable, and so the income from working or whatever, and then non-taxable interest, and then they only take half of your Social Security benefits. So if you're making $36,000 a year, they only count half of that. So half of that is under $25,000. So you pay zero on your Social Security tax, on your Social Security benefit in your particular case. So, and these numbers haven't changed forever. And according to the president, there's no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, and no taxes on Social Security. The first two, maybe. Third one, absolutely not. It didn't pass. One big, beautiful bill. If you have to pay taxes on your Social Security, you have to pay taxes on your Social Security. There was, thank you, Pink Owl, there was a deduction that was passed. That's an IRS thing for $6,000, $12,000 a deduction. But if you have to pay taxes on your Social Security, you still have to pay taxes on your Social Security. So that hasn't changed at all. So it's been like that forever. Well, since the 1980s. So, all right, another video question.
Hi, Dr. Ed. Skipper here. I just wanted to update you on what happened with my Social Security IRMA problem, where I was getting $1 on my Social Security check, and he took the rest for an IRMA penalty. I did do the congressional with my representative in my state, Tammy Baldwin. She was pretty great. And so she helped you get a payment plan for the 2200. So that it's no longer 5 years, it's less now, but still it's a lot better. And then from the earlier years, 24 or whatever, that's going to be waived or forgiven or whatever you want to call it. So anyway, thank you so much again, and problem finally resolved, I believe. And
Okay, perfect. So, oh, he had a little bit more there. Let me.
I will be looking forward to helping someone else that I can as soon as I can. So I thank you for all your help. All right.
All right, there we go. That's what I like to hear. That's the most important part right there. So he learned some stuff that helped him, and now he's going to go out there and continue to listen to the videos and going to my website and helping out other people. So he had an IRMA situation, and the IRMA's income related monthly adjustment amount. And basically, he had some higher earnings a couple of years ago, so he has to pay extra for Part B and Part D. But he filed an SSA 44, and which you can waive that, but it looks like didn't work, and he had an overpayment. And so he contacted when he fought it, and he got no response from Social Security, not a valid response from Social Security. So he had to go to his politician, one of his two senators, House of Representatives, and they have a thing, it's called a congressional, that they expedite stuff. And it looks like they did just that. So, now that you've explained how your benefit is determined, I understand why you don't think Social Security Fairness Act is fair. However, holding back a portion of benefits wasn't fair either. Yeah, then I don't think you understood. It wasn't holding back a portion of benefits. It was not giving you extra that nobody else was getting. That's, yeah. So I'm like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who got tired of explaining why they downgraded Pluto from a planet to an asteroid. He said, I'm tired of talking about it. I'm not talking about Pluto anymore. I'm in the same situation with the Social Security Fairness Act. I'm tired of talking about the Social Security Fairness Act and why I think it was unfair. So if you want to know that, go back to my other 400 times I talked about it. So, all right, let's get another question here. Oh,
Yes, Dr. Ed. And she was
this is, never mind. This was the same one here, that one gentleman. Let's see.
Good morning, Dr. Weir. Thank you for everything that you do for the community. I'm having trouble accessing the live chat and just wondering if I can get instructions to do that. I believe you're available on YouTube and Facebook. Any guidance would be helpful. I'm not great at technical issues. And then once I get in live, I'll ask my more pertinent questions that apply to me. Thank you so much and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Okay, yeah, when I stream, I do YouTube. I prefer the questions on YouTube because I see them easily and I can pop them up on the screen, but I do Instagram at the same time. I'm doing Facebook at the same time. I do TikTok at the same time. We stream to everything and everything. So whatever you're on, I think most of the platforms you have to be a member to put in the live chat, but I get hundreds of live chats that pop through and I can't answer them all. And the best way is to do it exactly how you just did it, is to ask a question through a video. So, all right, here we've got TikTok. Does a widow benefit amount change whether one collects at 60 or later? Yes, 100%. Well, not 100%, yes, but not 100. Well, yeah, if you collect it, if you wait till your full retirement age, you receive 100%. And the full retirement age for surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits, same thing. It's called, Social Security call it surviving spouse benefits. If you wait till your full retirement age, which for surviving spouse benefits is actually about 2 to 4 months early. So for regular retirement benefits on your own record, the full retirement age is 67, let's say. But for surviving spouse benefits, the full retirement age is 66 and 8 months or 10 months. It's a little bit early. But if you're your full retirement age for surviving spouse benefits, then you get 100% of the benefit you're eligible for. If you file at 60 years old, you get 71.5% of what you're eligible for. So yeah, it's just with anything Social Security, if you take your benefits early, it's reduced. If you take retirement benefits early, it's reduced. Spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, Social Security disability, it's not reduced. SSI, not reduced. Supplemental security income. You will have to pay back all of that was paid out to you to delay retirement. That is incorrect. So some, let's see here. Someone's sounds like they're having a conversation about the voluntary delayed retirement credits, and that's not a withdrawal. If you're talking about withdrawing a claim that you filed within the last 12 months and you've changed your mind and you said, I didn't want to, I shouldn't have done that. I don't want to do that. You can withdraw your claim and then you have to pay that money back. Yes. But when the voluntary delayed retirement credits, you're not withdrawing your claim. You're just suspending your benefits. So you don't have to pay that money back. So I'm 62 years old. I'm collecting Social Security, but I have a business to go in $75,000. So they stopped. Yeah. If you're 62 receiving benefits under your full retirement age, then you have a limit to how much you can make. This year's the $24,480. And so they will suspend your benefits $1 for every $2 you go over that amount. But once you hit your full retirement age, they will take that into consideration. So if you file for benefits at 62, you're at the full reduction, 70%. When you restart your benefits as your full retirement age, you're not going to be reduced 30%. You'll be reduced less because you didn't take your benefits every month since you turned 62. So they'll refactor those back in there. It's called the adjustment of the reduction factor. That's automatic.
Hi,
Once you
Dr.
hit your full
Weir.
retirement
I
age.
just need some clarification. I'm the lady that's 66. I have OCD, severe RA, and scoliosis. So I'm basically housebound. My psychologist passed away, and I can't find anybody that takes my insurance. So there's been a gap. I have a two-part question. Number one, I have Medicare and Medicaid. My Medicaid is United Healthcare Community Plan. Do I need to see a psychologist? Or can I see a counselor, which they call an LPC? That's where they keep seeming to want to push me. I don't know if that is credible enough for SSI. Can you clarify those two things and let me know if the gap's going to be an issue and who I should definitely be seeing?
Yeah, I'm a doctor, but I'm not that kind of doctor, so I can't help you with that one. So you're on SSI, Supplemental Security Income, the welfare-based program, and in order to be eligible for SSI, Supplemental Security Income, you have to have low income, low resources. If you're single, resources $2,000 or less, married $3,000 or less. The max you can get on SSI is $994. Okay, so this is for all those people out there and say, okay, that's not me. Well, do you know anybody around you that might be eligible for this? So you can get SSI based on one of two factors: that you're disabled or that you're 65 and older. So if you know some elderly people around you that are receiving under $994, and that's basically their only income, tell them to contact Social Security immediately and file for SSI. It's called SSI Aged. Okay. So for this young lady, she's on SSI disability, it sounds like, and she just wants to make sure that her disability benefits continue, probably because of a CDR, a medical CDR, in case that happens. When you're on disability benefits, SSDI or SSI, they review every now and then. And it was just announced in the news that Social Security is now going to bring these CDRs in-house. I'm going to do a video on this and probably next week. And I've got some, anyway. The CDRs, here's my philosophy on CDRs, and this young lady as well. Forget about it. Forget about it. Don't stress the medical CDRs until you actually get one. I understand you're preparing in case you get one and you're, stressed about it and freaking out about it. I understand that. But if you're truly disabled, the medical records, whatever you have, you submit it to them. And if they say, okay, you use this type of doctor, we need you to see this type of doctor, then they will send you what's called a CE, a consultative exam, and send you to whatever type of doctor they need proof from. Okay. So, or you maybe call them up and, talk to, the DDS, the Disability Determination Services, about that. But now that they're going to be bringing it in-house, that is no longer, they just announced that today, big new change. But anyway, my philosophy, FCF, forget about it, make your records and go, do what you can to take care of yourself, but don't worry about the CDR. and you're saying, well, I'm scheduled to have a continuing disability review next month. Forget about it. Because even if you're scheduled, it's all about the budget. Social Security gets an allocation from Congress to do these. If they don't get the money, they don't do it. Even if your time is up next month for this review, if they ain't got the money, they're not going to do it. So why are you stressing about something you're never going to get? Sure, your time is next month, but your local Social Security office doesn't have the money to do it, so they're not going to do you. So see you next year, right? So stop worrying about it. F, C, if you get it, if you get the package in the mail, complete it, make copies, and send it in. And then F, forget about it. Because even if they send you the packet, here's the deal. If your local Social Security office has money that Congress gives them to do 100 of these, they have to do 100. They can't do 99. They can't do 101. I know, because I was the person that controlled to make sure that we didn't go over or go under. So we have to do, if we only got money to do 100, we have to do 100, period, end of story. But if we only sent out 100 of those packages, we're not going to get 100 back. We'll get like 70 of them back, or maybe 60, because people move, they don't respond, whatever the case may be. And the Social Security manager has to fill that allocation. If they don't, they're going to get a call from their boss, and they're going to, be called on the carpet, who we used to say in the Marine Corps. So this is the way it works. The office sends out 200 of those packets, and the first 100 that come back, that's it. But there's another 50 that came back, shred them. Yeah, don't need it. Can't hold on to it because the information, can't hold on to it for a month or 2 months, 3 months, because the information is going to get old, so we can't really use it. And if yours, you send it in, you're paranoid about sending, oh my gosh, are they going to give it? They didn't do anything. They shredded it. They've already filled their quota. So don't forget about it again. Stop stressing it yourself out. Stop stressing yourself out. Please pass that on to everybody who's got CDRs. I'm coming up with a program to help people with the CDRs and stuff, but that's my philosophy on that. So, all right, let's see. We got one final video question here.
Good afternoon, Dr. Ed. My name is Danita. I started collecting my Social Security at age 62 when my husband has been collecting his because he's 87 right now, and I'm 77. So my question is, when initially I was only collecting my Social Security on my own record, but after a while, when I learned that I could collect Social Security on my husband's record, they changed a little bit of my monthly pension, and right now I'm getting $1,048.90, and my husband has been getting $2,651.90. I just wanted to know if that is the right amount that I'm supposed to collect based on his own record. And my other question is, if he passes on, will I get the full amount that he is getting or he was getting before he passes on, or I will get only I will be deducted a certain percentage of his full Social Security.
Okay, so the first calculation, so you're looking at the MBA, you have to look at the PIA. This happens all the time. You're looking at your check amount and his check amount, and because you're both with us here for living spouse benefits, you're eligible to up to 50% of that person's. So the numbers you gave, yours sounds like less than 50%, but there's variables in there. Those are not the numbers you look at, because you might have started early, he might have started early, he's getting Medicare taken out, you're not getting Medicare taken out, so all those numbers are wrong. Or they're right, but they're not the ones you need to look at. You need to look at the PIA, the benefit amount you would have received and he would have received at the full retirement age. And you're like, well, I don't know that. Just call Social Security, sit on the phone for 3 hours, maybe have to talk to an AI that doesn't know anything, and once you get to someone, have him there and say, hey, can either of us get, it sounds like you, can I get money on his record? Is my PIA less than half of his? And if they say yes, then they'll schedule an appointment and get your spouse benefits. And I'm wondering, if you've both been receiving benefits for a while, you should have started receiving spouse benefits a while ago. So ask them about deemed filing and see if you can get some retroactive benefits. So what's my PIA? What's his PIA? Eligible for spouse benefits? Why didn't I start that earlier? Deemed filing. Okay. In terms of surviving spouse benefits, if it depends on how old you are when he passes. If you're full retirement age, then you'll get his full benefit amount. So if he was receiving, again, you said what, 1,200 or 2,200 or whatever it was, but again, he was maybe getting Medicare taken out. Maybe his full benefit amount is 2,500, and your benefit amount is 1,000 or whatever. Then the difference between your full benefit amount and his full benefit amount, what he was receiving, then you'll get 100%. That difference. You'll continue to get your own check, and then you'll get the difference between the two. So you're actually getting two checks. But people say, "Oh, I'll get two checks." Yeah, you'll get his check, but your check will be sucked up into his. So let's say you're receiving $1,000, and his benefit amount is 2,500. People think, and I know this because this was the hardest conversations I had at Social Security, is to tell someone that just lost their spouse that, okay, you're also going to lose all this money every month, because people think, okay, the higher earning spouse is receiving 2,500, lower earnings with 1,000, so that's $3,500 coming in. The higher earning spouse passes away, I'll get that check, 2,500. Of course, I'll still get my check because that's my check, $1,000. So I'll still get 3,500. No, you'll still get your check, but it'll offset what you get from that person. So one day, 1 month, you're getting $3,500 coming in, and the next month you're getting $2,500 coming in. You lose that $1,000 because you continue to get your $1,000, and you get the difference between yours and that one, which is the $1,500. So that one's out. Yeah. So I can't tell you how many times I had that conversation, and people weren't prepared. So please like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff, please. Deborah, this will be the last question on Facebook here. Can you collect divorced spouse Social Security along with a full-time job paycheck? I'm 63, he's 65 in May. It depends how much you're talking about a full-time job paycheck. If your full-time job is under $24,480, you can, absolutely, 100%. Anything over that, then your benefits are going to be reduced $1 for every $2 you go over that amount until you hit your full retirement age. So this is a divorced spouse. Remember, independently entitled divorced spouse benefits. If you're collecting your Social Security benefits, you're 63 years old, you're collecting your Social Security benefits, and he's 65. Even if he's not collecting his Social Security benefits, doesn't matter. You're divorced. You were married for 10 years. You've been divorced for 2 years. That's the only stipulation with this one. It doesn't matter whether he's collecting Social Security benefits or not. It's called independently entitled divorced spouse. He doesn't have to be collecting Social Security benefits. You do, though. And then you can file for spouse benefits. And again, your benefit amount has to be less than half of his benefit amount. So, we got one last question.
Ed, I've been following you for a while on YouTube, and I'm so appreciative of the information that you give out. I lost my husband in April of 2014, coming up on 4 years of marriage. I was told that I did not qualify for anything because, number one, we were not married for 10 years. We did not have a minor child together, and I was not disabled. So I did not qualify for anything. I now know through your platform that that was incorrect and it was not true. My second question is, whatever that thing was, I don't know if it was like the end of the windfall or whatever it was, where people were getting like up to $8,000. I got $1,261, I believe, because I did work for the city of Chicago for 9 years. So I did get that money. Well, my thinking is that if my husband was a Chicago police for 10 years, state police, and he taught at every level of school, elementary, high school, and some collegial history, that he would have some type of money that he was entitled to as well if I was entitled to something. So my question is, how would I go about finding out about that, and if I in fact do qualify? My second concern is that when I turn 65 and I will be
Okay, let me get two of these questions. I've got three questions. All right, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Okay, so your first question, yeah, sounds like you were given incorrect information. For a surviving spouse claim, so if you were divorced from that person, yes, 10 years. You had to be married to the person for 10 years. Common law can also be there, yeah. But for surviving spouse benefits, you just had to be married to the person for at least 9 months. There's a couple exceptions there, but you were married 4 years, so you're eligible for surviving spouse benefits. So that's not an issue. So the whole 10 years, not relevant because it wasn't a divorce type situation, it sounds like. Okay, number two, the WEP GPO. Yeah, there was a time in your life you worked and didn't pay into Social Security, but you did pay into it other times, so you're 100% eligible for those benefits. But the old WEP GPO used to recalculate those benefits. It didn't reduce it. It just didn't give you extra. Anyway, that's gone away, and now they recalculated it and gave you extra. Okay. And you say, oh, it's not extra. It's not. Yeah, it is extra. So it's more than the other 97% of teachers, firefighters, and police officers. And yeah, but anyway. So you got that money. Here's the thing. If he also worked under this non-covered employment, which is working at an employer, a city, state, local, federal, whatever, that didn't pay into Social Security, his PIA is also reduced, or excuse me, not reduced, recalculated, not given extra. So number one, you should really file a claim. I'll listen to your third question here in a second. But you should definitely file a claim. It sounds like you're eligible. It wasn't a divorce type situation. Number two, when they do the calculations, and when you call and find out, okay, now I know it doesn't have to be 10 years because I was married to the person when they passed away. I want to see if I'm eligible. And then the next thing will be determined is your benefit amount, whether your benefit amount is less than his benefit amount. But if he's passed away on his MBR, on his master beneficiary record, his PIA, his primary insurance amount might still be the old one before the Social Security Fairness Act. So you have to be careful on that one. Ask them, say, okay, here's the Social Security number. If you don't know the Social Security number, no problem. Tell them name, date of birth, his age, where he was born. They'll find it. And then they'll look at it and they'll say, oh, yep, no, your benefit amount is more. If they say, yeah, you're eligible for benefits, then set the appointment and get that their money. But even then, say, okay, was his PIA unwept? The windfall elimination provision, was his PIA unwept? And if that's because it might increase his primary insurance amount, which will increase your benefit amount. So be careful on that one. So when you call, they'll say, oh yeah, no, your benefit amount is more. And then ask, well, was his MBR, was the PIA on his MBR unwept? And then, yeah, so.
Before next month, April, I know that the Medicare will kick in. My question is, I retired from the state of Illinois fully vested with health insurance for life. Please explain to me how that will work for me once I turn 65 for the Medicare and what's supposed to be my health insurance for life that the state of Illinois provides for me.
Okay. Yeah, so you're turning 65, and whether you should get Part A, Part B. Part A, because you're receiving benefits, that'll be automatic. Well, both of those will be automatic, A and B. Once you start reaching 65, about 100 days before you reach 65, they'll mail you your Medicare Part A and Part B automatically. I think in the state of Illinois, they require you to have Part B, so you have to pay Part B, and then you're asking about should you get like a Medicare Advantage plan, a Medicare Supplement plan. It really depends on your situation. Depends on how good the state plan is. If you're happy with it, and it's better than anything else out there, you can call Chapter and they can compare. But if it's better than anything out there, then stay with it. But remember, it's not considered creditable coverage because it's health insurance from a retirement plan. Only creditable coverage is health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's, places that have 20 or more employees. So if something happens next year, 5 years, 10 years from now, and the state of Illinois stops your health care and you want to go ahead and sign up for a Medicare plan, then you won't be able to get a Medicare supplement plan. Maybe, depends on your health. I don't think Illinois has a special enrollment there, but yeah, in your particular situation, I'd reach out to Chapter and they'll give you all the lowdown on Illinois and Chicago and all the rest of it, and see whether the plan that your health insurance, your employer is going to give you in retirement is better than what's out there. So, and they're 100% free, and tell them I said hi. All right, y'all take care. All done for tonight. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I think we're going to have a guest tomorrow. We're going to have and we'll keep on keeping on and answer as many questions as we possibly can. Y'all take care. Have a beautiful night. And please, 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 please take care of each other.